effort by New York City politicians to intimidate people from coming out to these protests. They've called these protests pro-terrorism. They've called these protests anti-Semitic. Doesn't matter. Thousands and thousands of people are standing with Palestine right now. The intimidation is not working. Look at this crowd. Look at this crowd. The intimidation that we've seen. The intimidation, the demonization of these protests isn't working. People are still coming out in big numbers. We are here marching through the streets of New York City. A lot of younger folks here, as well as some older seasoned activists, leftists, Palestinian Americans, Muslims, Jews standing in solidarity with the Palestinians. And as you can see, thousands of people have gathered to call out the Israeli bombing of Gaza and to express their support for the Palestinian people. Now, the crowds here that have assembled are particularly noteworthy, as local politicians have largely condemned these protests. They've labeled them anti-Semitic. They've labeled them in support of terrorism. There's been condemnation even from left-wing figures like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Here's what some of the protesters here had to say to us about why they are here, despite the local politicians calling on them not to march in the streets.
We demand an immediate ceasefire. We will not be complicit to collective punishment and genocide. As taxpayers, as U.S. families, we know Gaza's population is 49% under the age of 18. So as youth workers, we have a moral obligation to protect the young people of the world.
Okay, and how do you evaluate Washington's recent actions over the last couple weeks?
Completely complicit in genocide. They are looking away. They are denying the health ministry's numbers of death tolls that they have relied on for years and years and years. And so we want to understand why the U.S. has sent so much aid and rhetoric to protecting civilians in Ukraine, but Gazans and Palestinians are exempt.
And then the last question is, why do you think there won't even be any evaluation of Israel's actions on Capitol Hill?
Because we send nearly $4 billion a year. They are our strong arm in the Middle East. And a lot of the surveillance technologies and weapons used to surveil and control black and brown communities in this city and across the U.S. Are exported from Israel. So we exchange these technologies. They are our brother in arms in the oppression of civilians.
Very good. Thank you very much. Good to see you. Yeah. All right. Can you tell us what your main message? I am not a Zionist. I'm from Russia. We're okay. So there you go. Can you give us your kind of summarize the main message out here today?
Today we simply need to stop the slaughter. That and begin to talk to each other. Two communities need to begin to talk to each other because this is a question of humanity. None of us, at least in my generation, we didn't expect to see genocidal slaughter to this degree and to have it supported and paid for. And it is not a question of a religious difference, ethnic difference. It's a question of the Declaration for Human Rights, the Geneva Conventions, and international law. All this applies. It's a humanity question.
Now, how do you evaluate how the United States has been acting in regards to everything over the last couple of weeks?
I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed that I feel I have a government not representing me. I don't find the voice saying we must stop. We must no longer fund the violence. Whether it is funding the violence in Israel or funding the violence in Ukraine, we must stop. It's become an industry in which people benefit through prestige, through capital accumulation, through control. It must stop. And we must find our roots as a nation, our moral integrity as a nation.
Now, why do you think Washington won't even evaluate Israel's activities, won't even investigate if they've committed crimes?
Well, I think this is part of the whole hegemonic ethic that is driving the 800 bases around the world. It is an empire activity. And our leaders believe we are the indispensable nation. Unfortunately, we are becoming the rogue nation, the one that is bringing violence to the world.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Thank you. Can you summarize the message for us?
Yeah, we love to have the Palestine free. because this is genocide going on over there, killing the kids every day. That's all we can say right now. The more issue is the free the Palestine.
What is your message to the American government? What is your message to the American government?
To not to support the Israel for funding, and not to sending them any like weapon or anything. That way they can stop down those kind of thing, genocide on the Israel.
Why do you think Washington, Congress won't even investigate Israel's activities? Why will they not even investigate Israeli crimes?
I don't know. I would be happy to if they investigate it. We are wishing they can do it, and they're gonna go on the right way, like actually how the world going.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Well, my reason for being here is I want peace, but I think for most people, they're tired of seeing their people or people that they sympathize with being colonized by other people who've had their own struggle, but they're being helped by Western powers and more money. And I think it's people being tired of that, and it's basically the same things that have caused.
How do you evaluate Washington's recent actions in regards to what's been happening in Gaza?
Well, I don't like the idea that our government's just giving more money to a war effort, and I guess you could say that for most war efforts, not just this one, instead of giving money to our citizens who desperately need it.
Why do you think Washington refuses to even evaluate what Israel's doing?
Well, I don't think there'll be a slowdown or anything like that, because both parties, Democrat and Republican, even third parties, they're getting lots of money from, the military-industrial complex, which used to sound conspiratorial, a long time ago, but it's, it's a very real thing, and as long as the money keeps flowing, there's always going to be time and room for war. It's unfortunate, really.
Thank you very much. You're great. Israel will be conducting 4-hour pauses in its attacks on Gaza, and this was negotiated with the White House. However, this crowd here says they want a ceasefire now. They want an end of U.S. taxpayer money going to support Israel, and on top of that, they would like to see Israel grant rights to the Palestinian people. Behind me, and it's great to see a lot of people out in the streets for Palestine, but gotta say, I've been going to rallies like this for 15 years. I'm only 35 years old. I've been going to rallies like this for 15 years. And if the message was aimed at average Americans, if the message was money for jobs and schools and healthcare for Americans, not for Israel, if there were American flags here along the Palestine flags, these rallies might make a difference. Americans are suffering. Americans are angry. But the organizers of these protests, they don't want that, right? This is more about sending a message to the Muslim world that there's room for people who hate Israel in America. There's room for people in the United States who have Muslim faith. Look, sure, the USA gives lots of money to Israel, but we allow these Palestine rallies to happen. We allow Muslims to take to the streets. That's what all that really gets accomplished here, right? And it frustrates me. Imagine that these rallies were saying to Americans that they have the same enemy as the Palestinians, that the big banks and big corporations that are tied in with Israel are also the people destroying their communities. That should be the message of these rallies. But instead, most Americans just look at these rallies. It looks like a hostile foreign mob. It looks like a group of people who don't like them. And that's all that comes out of it. And that there has to be a change in strategy if we actually want to win. But the forces that run the socialist groups, Brian Becker and the wealthy people that run the communist groups in America, don't want that change. They're making money, kind of being American-controlled opposition, making sure that average Americans never get won over to anti-imperialism. And it annoys me. It drives me crazy. Now, it appears there is a police car in the area that's been spray-painted, and it says Free Gaza. Now, the protest is winding down at the headquarters of the New York Times, a widely read media outlet in the United States. The protesters are calling out the New York Times for having blood on its hands, for having biased coverage, covering up Israeli atrocities.
Ceasefire now! Mohammed al-Salhi, killed in Gaza by apartheid Israel on October 7th, 2023. Ceasefire now!
There was a group of people that did enter the New York Times building. They have left. So it's been quite a rally. Thousands of people coming out to call out Israel for its atrocities against the Palestinians, call for a ceasefire, call out U.S. taxpayer money for continuing to fund Israeli crimes.
New York Times, blood on your hands! Shut it down! Shut it down!